Thanks for coming tonight for Stone Soup's a very impromptu open mic. I wasn't sure if I was going to have one. I'm still not used to the Juneteenth holiday in that I actually have a day off, and that I would love to plan something more Juneteenth centric, but I need to have more next year. I'm going to plan more time so if someone wants to do that, they can do that. But if no one would want to do that and they'd rather just enjoy the holiday, why the fuck are you making me work and read poetry on a holiday? Then I'll respect that as well. Next week, we'll hopefully have a feature to close out of June and more features coming for July and August. We'll have many more things to announce. Some of it might be just so-so news or bad news, but hopefully a lot more of it's going to be good news as we move forward and try and push for the end of the year. I do want to get more work out as 2024 is shaping up to be a momentous year. I've lived through many years, and 2024 is one of them, and that's the most positive thing I can say so far. It's been quite a wreck of the year, but thank you guys so much for coming and entertaining my ramblings as I'm on my own concoction of ibuprofen and what have you. It's actually not even Advil. It's actually store bought, so it's like a mocktail of pills. But wish me luck on Friday when I go see the doctor, and let's have me shut the fuck up and gets everyone to reading. The Ramdinator 5000 has selected people to read already. Maybe some more people will be coming on later on. We'll see what happens. But for now, let's welcome up a past Stone Soup feature and someone who I'm glad is back, Jackie Oldman. Oldhim, sorry. I'm going to be screwing up names all night, people. Fair warning.
Oh, it's so great to be here. I have one possibly to Juneteenth home, and I have to introduce it this way. When days before the holiday became an official holiday, my friend Michael Anthony, host of uh, listening. I can't even think of the name of it, the poetry podcast. So he had invited me and another poet to co-host. And by the time the actual day rolled around, it had been written into stone. So here's my poem, How I Learned About Juneteenth. I first heard the word Juneteenth as a child when my uncle from Texas mentioned it. Being from Maryland and knowing all about the 1863 Emancipation Proclamation, I laughed along with the grown-ups at the notion of not knowing the exact date of a holiday commemorating the day the last slaves learned they were free. Even my uncle laughed as he explained it, but we know better now. On the other hand, as I grew older, I spent many a New Year's Eve in church attending watch night service instead of partying to ring in the new year, not understanding until years later that watch night commemorates the expectation of the Emancipation Proclamation by Southern slaves. I know better now, but who's to say which event is more worthy of celebration? And I hold off on my other just in case.
Thank you, Jackie. Might want to check your connection, but we heard that poem perfectly. But your picture might be coming in and out a little bit, but we heard the poem fine, and that's what counts the most. Just want to give you a heads up for round two of the round robin. Thank you again. Let's see who else we can get on this reading. I'm gonna bring up Mr. John Wesick.
Hello, happy 100 degrees Fahrenheit day.
Hmm.
So, there was this term I heard called Deus ex Wrench about writers who arbitrarily inject conflict into their stories just because that supposedly makes it better. So I wrote a parody called Sledgehammer Ex Machina, and I'll read some of that to you tonight, and maybe we will serialize the story throughout Stone Soup. Special Agent Claire Danforth clipped the film badge to her belt and followed the production manager through radiation detectors and onto the factory floor. SEM-9 pressurized water reactors for the Virginia-class submarine. Art McNeil pointed to metallic cylinders that resembled beer kegs large enough to give every American a blood alcohol concentration of zero point 0.8. Once the reactor vessels pass QA, we load them with nuclear fuel. He swiped a key card to open a door into a room marked with yellow and magenta trefoils. I believe you know NCIS Special Agent Amatori. Amatori had eyes the color of the Portage Glacier and a cleft in his chin so deep a woman's tongue could get lost in it for days. Morning, Nick. Danforth nodded to her colleague. The room contained two workstations behind radiation-resistant glass. Ordinarily, workers at each manipulated remote-controlled arms to load fuel rods into reactors. Today, both were vacant. Here's the problem. McNeil took a seat at one of the stations and maneuvered a radiation detector toward metallic tubes that hung from a crane like an infernal wind chime designed by J. Robert Oppenheimer. There was no reading. Someone made off with real fuel rods and left dummies behind? Danforth asked. Worse than that, McNeil said. Our naval reactors use highly enriched uranium, the kind that can make a bomb. Can I have your attention? Danforth said to the FBI agents in the briefing room. This is NCIS Special Agent Nick Amatori, who will be working with us. She gestured toward him. We have a serious situation. When she pulled down a screen near the wall, there was a sheet with a penis drawing attached. A man in a Madras sport coat laughed. Wishful thinking, Agent Paterfamilias? Danforth removed the prank and motioned to the agent by the laptop to project a picture of a fortress-like building. The Y-12 facility at Oak Ridge processes the nation's highly enriched uranium. Somewhere on the way to the V-Gates plant, someone stole the fuel rods and replaced them with phonies. This uranium could make a nuclear bomb, so no word of the theft can leak out, lest we cause a panic. That means even your families, people. Maybe the thieves plan on selling it to a foreign government. Maybe they're building a bomb. Experts say it wouldn't be hard to cobble together a primitive gun device like the one that took out Hiroshima. Unfortunately, these are unstable. Drop one and it could go off. If you find it, wait for the nuclear emergency support team to disarm it. What if it's already left the country? Agent Dubious asked. And what if this isn't the first batch to go missing? We'll have to do the best we can. Each team will be issued radiation detectors, and we'll all wear film badges to monitor any exposure. Let's start by going over the entire supply chain and reviewing anyone who had contact with the missing fuel rods. Danforth paused when a man built like the Hohensalzburg fortress entered. Assistant Director Bellicose. This case is important. Bellicose's stare could make a Belgian Malinois hide under the coffee table. You need to solve it in 24 hours, or else you'll be inventorying penguin turds in Alaska. No one dared tell him that penguins lived in the southern hemisphere. Agent responsible, Danforth said after Bellicose left. Get all the documentation from Art McNeil at V-Gates. I want the rest of you to work with her to create a timeline. And Paterfamilias, go over the security clearances for everyone involved. But that'll take months, Paterfamilias said. Don't go soft on me, paterfamilias. If you have enough time to play pranks, I'm sure you can rise to the occasion, Danforth said. Anything else? About V Gates, Amatori said. 60% of it is owned by a conglomerate called S. Enan out of Abu Dhabi. They claim there's a firewall that closes off the American operations, but good point, Nick. You and I will visit V Gates's VP. Danforth grabbed her purse, led him to the garage, and unlocked a Ford Crown Victoria, a car that shouted cop louder than a pair of mirrored sunglasses. God, I missed you, Amatori said once inside. I can't get that night in Albuquerque out of my mind. I want to slather you in honey and eat sopapillas from your navel. It was a mistake, Nick. I'm a married woman. Come on, Claire. When will you accept the fact that Ned isn't right for you? Danforth's cell phone rang. I'll be right there, she said. What is it? Ned Jr. has been arrested. We'll pick it up from there in the next round.
Can't wait. Thank you, John. And now going through all the J's, getting all the J's over with, let's go now to Jan Rowe of the Blackfeet Riders and several other affiliations. And welcome to everyone who came on. I'll add you to the list. There you are.
Thank you. This is called IRS. Did you know? So I need to check as Tom Hartman repeatedly is saying that billionaires only pay a 3.4% tax. And I think I pay between 10 and 20% as a retired nurse. So now recently, Melania Trump carried a purse, a handbag costing $56,000, which is the average salary of, average human salary. Now, the University of Pennsylvania, the business college that Trump attended, the students they think the average American salary is $150,000 instead of $50,000, and this is a business college. Okay, so Trump's lawyers cost $238,000 a day, every day in February. That's close to my life savings when rent used to be 30% instead of 50%. And by the way, I don't know if you knew that Trump's IRS head, James Reddick, has or had a condo deal, real estate deal with Trump in Hawaii. His IRS head, James Reddick. Okay, let's see. Now, also, the IRS, this is the biggie, the IRS computer system, did you know it was designed by the military industrial complex? This is when the banks and the credit card companies were getting nice systems. Well, the Cold War was over and the military industrial complex needed work, even though Eisenhower, Ike had warned about the military industrial complex for a different thing. I mean, he was a 4 or 5-star general before being a president. And I mean, he died in the 50s. With our cardiology, he might have made it today. But anyway, yeah, I learned this week that IRS computer systems were from the military industrial complex. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Up next, I'd like to bring up a friend we haven't seen for a while, a Past Stone Soup feature, Past Stone Soup host. Let's welcome up Blackbird. Uh-oh. Oh, there she is.
I was clicking on my thumbnail, kept like going all over the place. Hello everyone. Hi, Miss Jackie. I don't know if you remember me, but hi, I remember you though. I've seen you before. How are you, Miss Jackie? Miss Jan, hi. I miss you guys so much. How are y'all doing? And happy birthday, Mr. David Miller. I know he's not on here, but happy birthday to you. Okay, so this is one of the latest recent poems that I wrote. It's not, doesn't really have anything to do with Juneteenth, but it's something you guys haven't heard before. So here we go. Hold on one second. Let me turn off my fan. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay. Why am I here? I constantly ask myself, why am I here? What am I doing in treatment when I'm not even being treated right? Falsely accused of taking oxys, still holding on to 7 months sobriety, one little relapse from smoking a little weed. Now I'm an addict who need extra support. But what about the real addicts who relapses over and over and over, coming out positive for fentanyl, Molly's and Percocets and Xanax? They get a free pass, right? They want to see me fall down, drunk and high, being out of my mind, and a part of me wants that too. I get it. I am a child of God. And no disrespect to God, but I don't understand, why am I here? 8 years of turmoil and grief, 8 years of depression, 8 years of loneliness, even while in senseless relationships that only did more harm to me. 8 years of trying and fighting, but still I get nowhere. Still get the small end of the stick, still get a little inch of freedom to live my life, but still I end up at a dead end. Faith without works is dead. I want to give up so fucking bad, but the other part of me still believes. My faith is still intact, just need to understand the game of life. Tired of losing. I'm kind. I'm open-minded. I'm willing to give this life another try, work on preventing relapse, but I ain't saying I'm perfect. I'm just saying that I'm willing to try again and again and again, even if this time it kills me. So this poem came from when I was in rehab. So this is why I have not been here for a while, because I was in rehab. But now I'm home, so still working my recovery, and I've been sober now since December 31st. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Blackbird. Hope you stick around for round two. It's been so long, too long since we last heard you. Up next, we'll go back to the Jays later, but let's go now to Rich Boucher.
Hey, thank you for that. Appreciate that, Chad. And Blackbird, it's good to hear you this evening. I don't think I've heard you before. And my wishes for you are a continued recovery.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
This poem is called The Dizzy Dancing Way You Feel. After ache, after mother, after Judy and Joni. You have to be careful these days about what you choose to talk about at parties, because people can get so sensitive. I can't seem to remember a time when people were so juicily touchy about things. It's confounding. But anyway, as I was saying before we got so severely, rudely interrupted, I remember that one of the best bonding experiences I ever had with my mother was killing off a good and tasty bottle of some old granddad. And I remember waking up still kind of out of it, looking up at the Ferris wheel at the amusement park, and hearing the seagulls and thinking I saw the moon for a second, and Both Sides Now by Judy Collins on the radio, and smelling the chocolate funnel cakes, and noticing for the first time what bikinis were good for, and listening to the shush of the waves coming into the shore, and smiling up at my mother, who was smiling down at me, and thinking to myself that this was going to be a memory that I would treasure for always, no matter how long either one of us would wind up living. I guess I must have been about 8 or 9 years old at the time, and I suppose I must have been quite the philosopher child to have had thoughts like that. Or maybe everything is normal. Fantastically, I outlived my mother, as she wound up, in the final analysis, living all the way up until her death at a very young age. And up until she died, I was never older than her. I know the world expects it of me, but I don't know how to act my age anymore. Thank you.
Nice one. Thank you, Rich. Where will the muses take us to next? Let's go to Marianne Honecker and find out.
Hello. This is called Crows. Something strange happens when a crow flies. I feel each wing beat's vibration, silken and unobtrusive. I've been waiting for something like this to happen, something I cannot explain. The air beneath the wing changes and ripens, a thing that would have body if I could touch it. Yesterday, the clouds and sun played a game, gilding the yard, then shadowing it. The light, a singular jingle from a wind chime cylinders, whatever chime strikes the middle note. The air just above the trees is the crows. A blackness seeps into the air beneath them, temporary as fog. They alight without any sound at all. They command. They marshal their numbers. I am learning a new way of seeing, a stillness, sitting until the blasé fills with enchantment. Even a flag makes more sound than crows do, slapping its cloth against currents of wind. Crows cleave the air beyond human hearing. All of my senses are open. I feel the way the air moves, a complicated melody. I can smell the mown grass bleeding, hear the tremble of terror from the clover the mower barely missed. Crows presentiment death. I am and am not afraid. Everything is always dying. Everything is always living. That's all.
Thank you, Mary. Up next, I don't know if Jeff Taylor is willing, wanting to read tonight, but if he is, this would be a good time to step forward. Good to see you again.
Hey, Ken. Yeah, I'll read a cover if that's okay.
Always okay. And speaking of other poets, don't you have a live stream going on this Friday?
I do have one coming up this Friday. Yes, I just started a poetry review channel on YouTube. You could look it up, Jeff Taylor Poetry. And I'm reviewing indie published poetry books. But it's kind of more like a react than a deep review, because it's like the first time I get the book and I look at it and I'll read the last poem and the first poem, my first read through live, and just kind of give you my initial impression on the book and talk about where you can get it and talk a little bit about the authors. So
It's
yeah, check that
unboxing
out, Jeff
series.
Taylor Poetry.
It's an unboxing
what do you-
series for poets. I love it.
Yeah, I'm kind of like reacting to physical media, but yes, I plan to do like another series where I take some poems that I do know, rather than my initial read, poems that I really enjoy, and just doing a video of me reading a few of those poems and talking about the books that I've come to love. And this is going to be one of the first ones in that series. So I'm just kind of getting used to reading them. Yeah, this is from the book Gentleman Practice by Buddy Wakefield. And the poem is We Were Emergencies. We can stick anything into the fog and make it look like a, oh shoot. Hey, I'm getting a phone call. And can I it's hold on. I just have to wait for it to go away. I just have to get rid of it. Okay, I did that right. I didn't want to hang up on this accidentally because it gives you a bunch of different options. So I was just making sure I picked the right one. But yeah, I
It was,
sent
it
them
was
to
actually turning your
voicemail.
screen sideways. It was a very
Yeah, I
transformative
did that.
experience.
Yeah, it did that to me too. I wasn't sure how that was going to look to you, but I'm working on an old bike, and that was a friend of mine. I think with some. I was looking for some information about this shifter type that is like with an internal hub, and I've never seen it before. So I think that's my friend calling me to tell me about it. But let's do this first because this is what we're all here for. All right, so this is We Were Emergencies by Buddy Wakefield from his book Gentleman Practice that was put out by Right Bloody. We can stick anything into the fog and make it look like a ghost. But tonight, let us not become tragedies. We are not funeral homes with propane tanks in our windows looking like cemeteries. Cemeteries are just the earth's way of not letting go. Let go. Tonight. Let's turn our silly wrists so far backwards, the razor blades and our pencil tips can't get a good angle on all that beauty inside. Step into this with your airplane parts. Move forward and repeat after me with your heart. I no longer need you to fuck me as hard as I hated myself. Make love to me like you know I am better than the worst thing I ever did. Go slow. I'm new to this, but I have seen nearly every city from a rooftop without jumping. I have realized that the moon did not have to be full for us to love it. That we are not tragedies stranded here beneath it. That if my heart really broke every time I fell from love, I'd be able to offer you confetti by now. But hearts don't break, y'all. They bruise and get better. We were never tragedies. We were emergencies. You call 911. Tell them I'm having a fantastic time. That was We Were Emergencies by Buddy Wakefield.
That was another Right Bloody book. Damn. The line about the cemeteries being the earth's way of not letting go. Fuck. That was
Yeah, that's a killer.
Yeah. God damn. Thanks, Jeff. Where do we go from there? Oh yes, we go to the person who will close out the first round of the round robin, and just got his column in the mail. It'll be going up to Oddball Magazine tomorrow. His poem column, It's All One Thing. Let's welcome up Mr. James Van Looy.
Thank you. Okay. This is called the Sleeping Guy. The sleeping guy only seems to sleep, but it takes a whole while for us to realize he's the one making those horrible sounds, groan, moans that just erupt as if from heart attack, or the worst case, heartburn, words then coming out laced with swears and curses and getting scarier almost than the moan groan so angry this conversation we hear with only one apparent participant. And the train has stopped and just sits there the longest time, doors open, some leave. Finally, the train resumes service to next station where gets on another talking to himself, although maybe we just can't see the plug in his ear, but he sure is mad at himself. He drinks and he smokes and he admits he's a dumb asshole, but somehow the first dialogue with someone not apparent to the rest of us disquieted by him, almost to defy our expectation that their two not immediately apparent worlds and worldviews will collide. But instead, the guy who swears, arguing with a judge not corporally present, gets up and moves away in disgust at the call of the interloper and process shows his plastic bottle of bourbon, and soon, quietly, almost secret, leaves the train he so extensively had just a little while back, so completely occupied. So that's that one. Thank you.
Yeah, tough to follow that one up with a song. Because I'm such a slave to yahoo.com headlines. I thought you were originally going to do a poem about Joe Biden. And now I still think it might be. But anyway, let's go now to go back to start, collect $200 and go through the list. The Remninator 5000 has selected. And that means we go back to Jackie Oldham. There she is. You able to unmute? Let me ask to unmute and see if that helps you. There you go.
Got it. Okay. All right, let me find this poem again. So I decided to get out of the Juneteenth mode and read a new one. I am not the green thumb gardener my mother was, but my mother did teach me the rudiments of soil and sunlight, watering and shade. Now in my twilight years, I am still learning to grow my own garden my way. I garden at dusk, avoiding the heat of the afternoon sun. The red knockout roses we purchased together, I planted by my fence. Their spindly branches bloom in late spring. I pull up invasive English ivies that threaten the delicate pink azaleas. Barehanded, I clear away the remains of the yellow daffodils that bloomed in March, making room for June daylilies, their orange fluted plumes already beginning to bud. The cool of the evening air lulls me as I sit on my porch chair, rocking, listening to the birds nesting, and watch the clouds of night descend. Thanks.
Thanks, Jackie. Hope you weren't gardening today. It was really hot out from our area. Imagine it's much the same for you. It's bad when you go to hose the flowers to make sure they don't burn and you hear tss, and your steam come up. Okay, that didn't really happen, but it felt like it could have.
You muted yourself,
I
Chad.
know. I just realized that, and you unmuted yourself, which is perfect because I was just going to introduce you. So take it away, John.
Okay. That Porsche out front sure is a beauty, Danforth said to the desk sergeant at the Lincolnhurst police station. Who's the lucky guy who owns it? That would be Detective Campanella. Just who I'm here to see. Danforth showed her badge, FBI. I'll page him. The man who came to meet her had a stork-like body and the ashen complexion of a heavy smoker. After escorting Danforth to his office, he explained Ned Jr.'s situation. Your son and two of his buddies beat up a Muslim girl. Doctors at Memorial don't know if she'll suffer permanent brain damage. Campanella placed mugshots of two tattooed skinheads on his desk. These are your son's friends, Dylan Foote and Shelby Ryder of the National Socialist Aryans. Better get him a good lawyer because we take hate crimes seriously in Lincoln County. As a professional courtesy, you might say my son was acting as your confidential informant. Otherwise, our financial crimes division will start asking how an underpaid detective can afford a sports car like the one parked outside. Danforth circles Campanella's desk. You wouldn't believe how thorough they are in finding fringe benefits not declared on your Form 1099. You could end up owing interest and penalties. So are we going to do this the easy way or the hard way? What the hell do you think you're doing? Danforth asked her son once she got him in the car. That girl could have died. Someone has to protect Western civilization. You're sure not. Unlike his father, Ned Jr. had the body of a bar spoon, hair like a cocktail strainer, and a mustache that could peel lemons. Unbelievable. You're grounded for the next 6 years, mister. When Danforth and her son returned to their 2-bedroom craftsman home, they found her husband seated behind escargot shells and a dozen empty bottles of Dom Perignon while Project Runway played on the big screen television. Go to your room, Danforth ordered her son. She turned her ire on Ned Sr. Your son just got arrested for beating up a Muslim girl. Where were you when he fell in with a group of neo-Nazis? Instead of being a father, all you do is drink. She swept the bottles off the table. If you attended to your duty as a wife and mother, this wouldn't have happened. Ned retrieved champagne from the ice bucket, shot the cork at a poster of Billie Eilish, and drank from the bottle. Someone has to earn money in this family, and it sure isn't you. I could have earned plenty, but I sacrificed my career as a fashion designer for you and your precious FBI. Fashion designer! Don't make me laugh. No one wears plaid jodhpurs with platform shoes anymore. As for my wifely duties, you might be able to get it up if you went to the gym instead of stuffing yourself with foie gras all day. Ned's punch took her by surprise. After coming to on the kitchen floor, Danforth removed frozen peas from a refrigerator that wheezed like an asthmatic bulldog climbing stairs to a doggy bed on the 6th floor and held them to her swollen eye. Sledgehammer Ex Machina will continue.
Never knew a line containing the word frog rock could hit so hard. Could win an argument. Thank you, John. TBC. And up next, let's go with Jan Rowe. Back to you, Jan.
Well, I have to give Boeing a break. It's getting a little weird. I thought they got their astronauts stuck up there. But anyway, I just have to say something about this woman who's 100, Opal Lee. Opal Lee, Biden was kneeling at her to talk to her because, I mean, she's 100. When she was 12, a white mob burned her house. But anyway, this is stuff I learned today. I should have known before. So in 1845, Mexico controlled Texas, and they had banned slavery, no slaves here. So the slave owners from Virginia and North Carolina, they were trying to relocate there. And well, meanwhile, Delaware and Missouri and another state, they just ignored the Emancipation Proclamation and kept their slaves. So this is how it took 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation for Texas to get this news. And it was 2 months after Robert E. Lee had surrendered. So that's what I learned today about the holiday. But one more thing, I was going through my papers, 2007, New York Times Sunday Magazine. There's a young man, Lieutenant Commander Matthew Dias, and he's at Guantanamo, and he sees that some of these men have just been turned into bounty. And so, well, he ends up getting in prison for 6 months himself. So 2007, this magazine, I turned a few pages and there's Ivanka. Ivanka's selling condos, and she's got a very revealing dress. This is before the 3 children. It might fit differently now. So that was through 7. But so anyway, it seems like we should have known more about these things about Juneteenth. And Chad, my mom had that TMJ. It's horrible. My acupuncturist friend, 30 years, she uses the little needles, Japanese. Okay.
I just
Thank
don't,
you.
I just want to take them on the surface above my skin.
Yeah,
I don't want to
yeah.
go inside the mouth. I'm just like, no, thank you, no. But we'll see what Friday holds. I'm doing good now because I'm drugged. No. My uncle's mother, oh God, she was dealing with cancer, and she got this was when marijuana was becoming illegal. Because it was becoming legal and usable, people were able to buy stuff. And one of the last visits before she passed away, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and I was trying to be positive, and she was smiling and laughing. I'm like, oh, you're in a really good mood right now. You seem to be in a really really good mood right now. And she just goes, oh, it's because I'm high all the time. But that's kind of how I feel right now. I'm sailing a good painkiller wave now. But it's making me babble more. But let's go now to someone who you want to hear. Let's go back to Blackbird if she has another verse for us. There you are.
Who is Harriet Tubman? Alone in the darkness, searching for freedom, in the moonlight with a heart of gold, traveling in woods afar with no guide to follow, but the mighty North Star. Alone in the dark, searching for freedom, she took charge and led many men, women, and children who were sick, beaten, and scared on a journey so bizarre. Alone in the cold, she became in tune, energized by God and her ancestors. Days and times, dreams appeared to her, heavenly messages leading the way that made her wise to the ways of mankind. Her story lives on as you, if you're teaching history and equality, and we know it's true. She paved the way for many leaders of every culture, of every class. In this great future, we can't forget our past. She was the strongest asset, an ultimate warrior, alone in the dark with a heart of gold that shines, the most glorious. Her home was torn down because she used the underground roads, giving hope to the hopeless. And don't forget, she freed over 700 slaves and never lost a single person, spreading nothing but truth. Who is Harriet Tubman? Harriet Tubman is a force. She is free. She is a queen. Harriet Tubman is in you as she is in me. Her last words, I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you.
Nice. Beautifully done. Thank you, Blackbird, and welcome back. We hope you come back more for the rest of the year.
I'm gonna try. I just work a lot, so I'm working a lot now.
Whenever you
yeah.
can make it, we can sure use that voice.
Yes, absolutely.
And keep on doing your good work. Let's welcome up for yourself and for the written word. And the spoken word. Let's welcome up Rich Boucher back to the open mic.
Thank you for that, Blackbird. The poem you read. I noticed the reference to Bob Marley in there, which I thought was an interesting thing that you put in that. And so this This poem is called Four Wonderful Children. I got back to the car to find four little kids, all boys of about 4 or 5 years old, in my car and making themselves at messy, rambunctious home in it. I was not in the mood for this. I'd stopped at this November motel just off cloudy, windy Route 122 to run a quick load of laundry and be on my way. That task should have been easy, but two old ladies in the little laundromat kept hassling me under the mistaken impression that I worked at the place, insisting that I show them repeatedly how to work the machines. They were rude and pushy about it. Things just got heated at one point and I lost my cool and stuffed them both bodily into one of the dryers and shut the door. Turns out they were not as strong as their mouths. Turns out I turned the machine on, turned myself on, turned the machine to high, turned the machine to way high, turned the machine to so high no one could believe it. Their muffled shouts and curses were barely heard by the back of me. So yeah, not in the mood at all to find four strange little boys in my car. I yelled at them, imprecated, screamed at them to get the hell out of my car, told them that they were pieces of shit and that they had better move. One of the four, a kid with big nerd glasses and a terrifying forehead, leaped out of the car with a yelp and ran for the motel's front door. The second boy, the one seated in the driver's seat, wouldn't let go of the steering wheel and just glared aheadwards, not moving until I put my arm around his neck and pinched his forearm until he screamed for mother. He became all arms and legs then, and ran out of the car also. But he ran aimlessly, out into the busy freeway in front of the motel. Not sure what happened to him. Does it really matter what happened to him? Could it ever matter? The third kid, a chubby blonde doofus with a shirt with horizontal primary color stripes that for some reason particularly enraged me, had been gorging himself on candy in the back seat. I grabbed him by the back of his collar and dragged him out and onto the pavement. He didn't actually say anything, but instead just stood where I'd placed him with his arms folded and a comically petulant look on his face. I think I scratched the back of his neck open with my nails when I grabbed him, because I saw a little blood, but that's what he deserved for leaving that whole peacock's shart of candy wrappers in my back seat. The fourth and final boy, the one who looked exactly like me when I was his age, the one who looked exactly like me on that day, the one who to this day I am not positive wasn't actually me, wouldn't leave the back passenger side, and he lodged himself into place with his legs fully extended and pressing up against the back of the front seat, as if that was going to prevent me from removing him. Look, I really don't care if you're a child, and I especially don't care if you're not my child. I'll throw you out of this car myself if you don't get out of there, I told him. By this time, I'd really had enough, and I didn't wait for his answer because I couldn't wait for his answer, so I simply grabbed him under both of his arms and lifted him up and out of my car. He started punching me, so I did what any reasonable person would do in this situation. I whirled around twice or more to get some really good momentum going, and using all my might, threw him high and forcefully up into the air away from my car. He landed, clumsily, face first onto the pavement in the drive and collapsed into a crying heap there. The impact sounded like a squeaky toy thrown from a great height, such as the top of a long flight of ever-lightless, ever-old stairs onto a wet stone floor in a secret basement. But I mean a squeaky toy made out of wet meat. With all this commotion, the parents finally showed up, looking down at all this from the second-floor balcony of the motel room. They'd obviously just had a marathon fucking session, and I inspected her from where I stood. She looked sexual, like a Dutch supermodel I'd seen somewhere with her dark, dirty blonde hair all tousled and standing there in her open robe, her milfy, full to the brim bra and lacy white panties visible to me and to my sight and to the me inside of me. Her husband didn't look like much, so I won't describe him, and I had to wonder what made him deserve some time in a bed with her. But he must have had some good qualities in her eyes, since they'd obviously taken the time at some point in the past to make 4 wonderful children together. Thanks.
Zing. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Rich. And as pre-selected by the Randonator 5000 from the first round, we go back now for the second round to Marianne Honecker.
This one is called Wind. A boy I knew from college told me that sometimes when he prayed, the wind would pick up, patter the leaves, and bow the grasses as if God was saying, yes, yes. Right now, the wind is high and plucking a jangling tune from the chimes. It's like jazz, a melody improvised, hard for the untrained ear to follow. I don't know if the boy was insane or if he wavered in time with the oneness and felt it fill his body like breath fills a clarinet. He was playing a song within his soul, which in truth was all of him. I can listen to Thelonious Monk only when I'm drunk, can follow and sometimes almost prognosticate the next note. I bop along the uneven terrain, I lift and descend. For a while I thought I listened to God. I obeyed his voice. I found myself in a starving wage job, broken living in a dilapidated apartment. Then the Lord stopped speaking. I'm not sure anymore what it takes to be in it, but sometimes I fall down beneath the surface of the world. I still search for you, God, Goddess, ground of being, even though you are within and through all things. A bird perches atop a swaying limb and sways with it. It cannot see the wind, but trusts it. It is not afraid. Even though I believe you are the source, you and I are in some sort of quantum dance, deciding my fate, urging me onward. I cannot reclaim my old faith. The bird releases its perch and falls into the wind. Together, they decide where the bird is going. That's all.
That's enough. Quantum dance, I like that. And tonight's cover band, Jeffrey and the Taylors. If he's coming back, hopefully he's coming back for a second round. Or was he offended by my faux British accent? Or maybe he's talking about the bike. Well, we'll see if you, oh, there he is.
Hey, sorry about that. I was working on a bike as I was listening to everybody read their poems. I'm trying to restore an old bicycle. 1970 Raleigh.
Send us progress notes, send us progress photos on the Stone Soup site.
I will. All right, so I'm gonna do another cover. I'm gonna read this one. It's from the book Alibi School by Jeffrey McDaniel. That's on Manic Tea Press.
It's a classic book right there. I have that book.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you for
turned me on
for
to
agreeing
Jeffrey.
with me. I thank you
Yeah,
for
no,
agreeing with me.
he's great. He's great.
Yeah, Jeffrey McDaniel's the best. He's awesome, dude. This is called Anti-Suicide Jewelry. Wandering through the woods of your absence, I come across a tree. symbolizing your sexuality and spiritual sanctum. It is shaped like the Y vein in your forehead, which I wanted to solve for. Yank like a wishbone, or spin like a needle to guide me. I remember discovering you on a bar's peninsula and immediately surrounding your natives. You were drinking my logic. We swallowed the same blueprints. Your tongue unlocked the swirling keyhole of my ear as you whispered, yes, again and again, so soft I couldn't hear what you said, except your S's stretched like tendons over the valley of infants we balanced our piano above. But I'm not in the vicinity of your falsetto, and the only sound reaching out to me is the hand of a clock cracking its 60 knuckles. That was Anti-Suicide Jewelry by Jeffrey McDaniel.
His other book called he has a few books. The other book that I have of his is called The Forgiveness Parade. Also great.
Oh
look at
yeah,
that
I've
too.
got that. Yeah, that's a really good one, definitely. Yeah, and he just put one out, the Thin, but not just, but the Thin Ice Olympics, which is a book about the pandemic, which is to me was my
I forget which one I have, but it's the one that you recommended. So you read from it a couple weeks ago.
oh
Yeah, that came out in The Thin Ice came out in 2022. I'm actually seeing links to his books now. I'm gonna have to grab one of these books based on your recommendation, Jeff. So keep on doing what you're doing.
thanks.
Up to close us out tonight. Really nice open mic. Let's welcome back and thank Mr. James Van Looy as he takes it home for us.
Okay, thanks, Chad. This is a poem called Tommy. It's for a guy that passed a little while back. I remember when he was out on the porch, lost in his addiction, battling demons and inner gremlins of abuse history, while I was in the falling winter night of extrapolating labyrinth shadows of tall structure everywhere, flickering late capitalism doubts we'd ever or could ever even get out, until I saw him again in community somehow, my clutch of struggling humans coming from this mysterious process that saves souls out crying for the truth and justice on the bare stone of cathedral steps. And here is a quick song. Won't you come home, Bill Bailey? Won't you come home? I cry the whole night long. I'll do the cooking, honey. I'll pay the rent. I know I done you wrong. Remember that rainy evening I threw you out with nothing but a fine-tooth comb. I know I'm to blame, honey. Ain't that a shame? Bill Bailey, won't you please come? Bailey, won't you please come? Bailey, won't you please come home? Thank you.
Thank you, James. And thanks to everyone tonight. This is a fantastic reading. I hope the feature I have selected for next week is able to do it. I was originally going to have him 2 weeks ago, but then when things went kind of south for me and I had to move Stone Soup to Thursday and I wasn't sure what the Juneteenth response was going to be. This is someone who's never interacted with the Stone Soup crowd before. He's on his own wavelength with Dead Man Press and other poetry groups on Facebook. So I didn't want to botch his introduction. That would have sucked like the dickens. And so I'm going to make sure that he's okay to feature next week. And hopefully I'll be able to announce his name formally either tomorrow or Friday. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward for other friends being announced for the rest of summer and hopefully for the rest of the year. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be an interesting finish to the year because the year is gonna finish interesting, and whether it's interesting like a curse or interesting, yeah, it's gonna be, that's anyone's guess at this point. And I hope you guys will stick around and be here for that. And did you have a question, Blackbird? Go ahead.
It's not a question, but
Oh.
it is more of an announcement.
Okay.
So, not only do I work my ass off, I have 2 jobs right now, but I'm also in a play. So I am currently rehearsing for a play called Kiss of a Spider Woman. It is based, it's a musical. So basically I'm one of the ensemble cast. So you'll basically see me like in a group of dancers and singers, basically. I'm the only Black person in there, so you won't miss me. But just that, I'm sorry. That was a joke. But that was a joke. But yeah, so it's I'm not quite, I think the show is probably towards the end of July. We don't have the exact date yet. It's still, to be announced, but I do know it's sometime in either July or August. So once I get more information about that, I will let you guys know. I'll post it on Facebook, and Chad, he follows me. So he knows he'll, keep you guys posted. So just
Promote
want to
it.
let you guys know that. Yep.
Can't wait.
Oh, and I'm also performing this Saturday, which is, I was not planning to do that. She asked me like last minute. My homegirl, she's doing a fashion show in Brockton,
Oh, cool.
which is 33 Dover Street, Brockton. So she has a fashion show and she asked me to perform. So I'll be performing at her show as well too. So that's what I've been up to, basically.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck,
That's it.
Blackbird. We'll look forward to
Thank
we'll
you.
look forward to seeing this.
Yes, yes.
And then I think that's all the announcements we have, including my pseudo announcements. John wants to know if it's related to the movie Kiss of the Spider Woman with, I'm assuming the version with Raul Julia, but that
Yes,
would
it
be it.
is.
Oh, wow. I'm
Yes, it is.
sold, but that's amazing. Okay, send
Yes.
the information soon. That's great.
Absolutely. I will. And it's in
And
Framingham. It's going to be in Framingham.
great.
Mhm.
All I gotta say left is happy birthday to David Miller today, and happy birthday this weekend to Tony B. Hopefully I'll be seeing her later on this weekend, and hopefully we'll have some more announcements. Of course, I do birthday announcements all the time on Stone Soup, but Dave has been getting so many reactions. Like I'm getting, I don't know if you can hear it, but I keep on getting ding, ding, ding. Everyone keeps on wishing David a happy birthday today. It's like I'm getting more hits on that post than anything else on the planet. I tagged him and said, Dave, you're gonna need to come on the Zoom call so we can sing happy birthday. It'll be the perfect completion, but he's probably in bed now, because he's the smart one. But Tony, I'll be seeing her hopefully this weekend and bringing back pictures. We'll see how it goes. And hopefully I'll be having more announcements to come. Rich, I'll send you those links for the calls for submissions. Everyone else can check them out. I'm going to try and find, I try to find a minimum of 3 calls for submissions per week, and I post them basically around 4 o'clock, the hour of 4 o'clock every Thursday at Stone Soup. So we'll be working on doing that as soon as I'm done with this call. It's great when I have a day off. I can actually stay up past 8:30. So there'll be more announcements coming, and hope you guys are around for them. Hope you guys are around next week as we close out June on a good note. June's been a rough one this week, but I want to hit a home run next week and win on everything, even if I have to Pete Rose a motherfucker at home base. But we will. So you get the reference. But so thank you guys very much. The obligatory wave is here, and thank you guys for coming tonight. This was very enjoyable. It's a great way to cap off a day off. We'll see you next time. Good luck with the bike, Jeff, and rest of you, we'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. The show's over. Go home.